Hello, everyone. Imagine you're sitting by a tranquil river. The water flows gently, carrying leaves drifting on its surface. You wonder, where do these leaves come from? Where are they going? A simple question, yet it can lead us to a profound discovery about life. Today, we'll embark on a philosophical journey together, exploring the law of dependent origination, a profound teaching of the Buddha to understand why everything in life happens as it does. Our lives are filled with questions. Why do we suffer? Why doesn't joy last forever? Over 2,500 years ago, as the Buddha meditated under the Bodhi tree, he found the answers through the law of dependent origination, also known as the law of cause and effect. He realized that everything in the universe, from the leaves on the river to the emotions in your heart, does not arise on its own. They depend on each other to exist, like threads woven into the vast tapestry of reality. Think of a moment when you felt stuck, perhaps a broken relationship or an unnamed sadness. The law of dependent origination shows us that these experiences are not random, but are the result of deeper causes. Understanding this can transform the way you view life. The law of dependent origination means that everything arises due to conditions. The Buddha taught that nothing in the universe comes into being or exists independently. He expressed this through an unchanging principle. When this exists, that exists. When this arises, that arises. When this ceases, that ceases. When this ends, that ends. Picture a flower. It doesn't just need soil and water, it also contains the sunlight, the clouds in the sky, and the hands that nurture it. This is the concept of interbeing. Everything contains everything else. This leads to the philosophy of non-self. There is no I or entity that exists independently. The law of dependent origination also forms the foundation of the Four Noble Truths, explaining why suffering arises from ignorance and craving and how we can end it. Unlike many Western beliefs, Buddhism does not accept a creator or a fixed first cause. The Buddha said, "All beings in the world arise from the combination of causes and conditions." Moreover, this law doesn't apply only to one lifetime. It explains rebirth through the flow of karma and consciousness, without requiring a fixed soul. Through the law of dependent origination, we see life as a continuous stream of cause and effect, flowing through time and space. The 12 links. Now, let's dive into the heart of the law of dependent origination. The 12 links of dependent origination, the wheel of cyclic existence. All phenomena, all conditioned things, arise from causes and conditions, not from an inherent self. In Buddhism, humans and sentient beings create their own existence, whether actively or passively. The universe is not a singular, self-contained entity. It is a shared environment of all existence. Buddhism does not believe that everything stems from a single cause, but insists that every phenomenon arises from at least two causes. These creations or transformations of prior causes continue across time, past, present, and future, like a chain of links. Imagine a circle with 12 links, each one leading to the next, binding us in the cycle of birth and death. When this exists, that exists. When this arises, that arises. When this ceases, that ceases. When this ends, that ends. The 12 links of dependent origination are a cornerstone of Buddhist teachings, explaining the cycle of birth and death for all sentient beings. These links are ignorance, formations, consciousness, name and form, 6 sense bases, contact, feeling, craving, clinging, becoming, birth, and aging, and death. The first link is ignorance, the root of all suffering, a blindness to reality, failing to see that everything is impermanent and lacks a fixed self. Ignorance causes us to cling to the idea of a permanent I. From ignorance arises formations, actions through body, speech, and mind, creating the seeds of karma. Formations lead to consciousness, the discriminative awareness that views the world through a distorted lens. Consciousness gives rise to name and form, the combination of mind and body forming an individual. Next come the 6 sense bases, the 6 senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. The 6 sense bases lead to contact, the interaction between senses and objects, like seeing a delicious meal. Contact produces feeling, sensations of pleasure, pain, or neutrality. Feeling leads to craving, the desire to hold on to what's pleasant and avoid what's unpleasant. This is a critical point where mindfulness can break the cycle. Craving leads to clinging, the act of grasping or holding on tightly. Clinging results in becoming, the preparation for a new existence. Becoming leads to birth, the arising of a new life. And finally, birth leads to aging and death, growing old and passing away. But death is not the end. Ignorance persists, leading to another cycle of birth and death. This chain is also known as the 3 times and 2 levels of cause and effect. Past karma shapes the present, and present actions shape the future. For example, when you crave a delicious meal and strive to obtain it, you're engaging in this chain of dependent origination. In Buddhism, conditions are external circumstances. Doctrinally, all Mahayana Buddhist schools believe in the principle of cause-condition-effect. People often think external conditions or circumstances lead to harmful actions. In truth, all obstacles and imperfections arise not from external conditions, but from the mind. If we lack inner tranquility, nothing external can bring us true happiness. External conditions arise when the 5 consciousnesses engage with the external world. Human nature and external conditions depend on each other, particularly the interaction between the 6 sense faculties and the 6 sense objects, with the faculties playing the primary role. The objects of the 6 senses, form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mental objects, are conditions that can taint the mind. The interaction between the 6 faculties and 6 objects, with the objects as the primary factor, determines the outcome. If our spiritual strength is weak, external conditions can sway us. But if our spiritual strength is strong, nothing can pull us away. As the 6th patriarch, Hui Neng, said, "It's not the banner moving, nor the wind moving. It's your mind moving." By following this teaching, no condition can fuel the cycle of rebirth. In Buddhism, Dependent origination means that phenomena arise due to conditions, in contrast to the awakened nature or ultimate truth. All conditioned phenomena arise from causes, not from an inherent essence. Buddhism rejects the idea of a singular entity or a creator. This doesn't mean beings and things don't exist. They don't exist with a permanent essence or substance, as people often assume. Instead, they exist through relationships and the interplay of cause and effect. All existence, whether individual or universal, stems from the principle of cause and effect, existing through the combination of causes and conditions. The core of this causal activity is the individual's karma, which leaves a latent energy that determines future existence. Thus, the past shapes the present, and the present shapes our future. In this world, we act and transform as a collective whole, continually moving forward in life. According to Buddhism, nothing is random, and there is no such thing as a first cause. Everything in the world exists due to the combination of multiple causes and conditions, the 12 links of dependent origination. The Buddha taught in the Majjhima Nikaya, dependent on oil and a wick, the flame of a lamp burns. It does not arise from one alone, nor from the other, nor does it have an inherent force within itself. The phenomenal world is the same. It has no inherent permanence within it. We too do not exist randomly, but live and exist through this law. When we understand this, we realize our solid foundation and find peace in our minds. Without impulsiveness, this foundation rests on the unshakable teaching of the Dharma. This assurance is the source of profound peace, a mind unshaken by anything. This is the Dharma that gives life to us all. The Dharma is not cold, it's vibrant and full of life. All existence is ultimately unreal. It is merely a designation. Only nirvana is the absolute truth. All phenomena arise and transform due to the law of cause and effect. The term dependent origination means that a phenomenon arises or is produced through the interaction of conditions. No phenomenon takes shape without a suitable condition. This truth applies to all things and phenomena in the universe. The Buddha realized this so deeply that even modern science cannot probe further. When we closely examine the things around us, water, stone, or even humans, we see that each is produced by a specific pattern with its own characteristics. What energy or tendency allows conditions to arise and create diverse phenomena in perfect order from an indeterminate energy or nothingness? When we consider this order and structure, we cannot deny that there is a law governing existence. This is the Dharma the Buddha proclaimed. From single-celled organisms to more complex forms, culminating in humanity, consider the billions of years when Earth had no life, with volcanoes spewing lava, steam, and gases filling the sky. Yet, as the Earth cooled over 2 billion years, single-celled organisms emerged. Clearly, they arose through the operation of the Dharma. They were born when the energy of nothingness in lava, gas, and steam met suitable conditions. The Dharma created the conditions for life to arise. Thus, we see that the Dharma is not cold or abstract. It's vibrant, enabling all things to exist and live. Conversely, all things possess the energy to exist and live. In the first 2 billion years of Earth's formation, even lava, gas, and steam carried the urge to live. This is why single-celled organisms emerged from them when conditions were met. These tiny organisms endured extreme heat, cold, floods, and torrential rains over 2 billion years, yet continued to survive. Moreover, they gradually evolved into more complex forms, culminating in humanity. This evolution stemmed from the initial organism's urge to live. Life is conscious, and through that consciousness, it seeks to live. This consciousness existed before life on Earth. This will to live exists in all things in the universe and in humans today. Scientifically, humans are formed by an assembly of fundamental particles, and upon deeper analysis, we see humans as an accumulation of energy. Thus, the will to live must exist within us. According to Madhyamaka philosophy, the law of dependent origination is a profoundly significant doctrine in Buddhism. It is the law of cause and effect for the universe and each individual life. It is crucial for 2 reasons. First, it provides a clear concept of the impermanent and finite nature of all phenomena. Second, it shows how birth, aging, sickness, death, and all suffering depend on specific conditions, and how these sufferings cease when those conditions are absent. Madhyamaka argues that explaining dependent origination through the arising and ceasing of existence's components is imprecise. Dependent origination is not merely a short-term process, but the principle of essential interdependence among phenomena. In short, it is the principle of relativity. Relativity is a critical discovery of modern science, yet the Buddha uncovered it over 2,500 years ago. By explaining dependent origination as essential interdependence, or the relativity of all things, Madhyamaka refutes a belief of early Buddhism. Early Buddhism analyzed phenomena into components, assuming these components had their own distinct reality. Madhyamaka asserts that the law of dependent origination clearly states that all phenomena are relative. They lack an inherent, independent self-nature. This lack of inherent nature, or relativity, is synonymous with emptiness, meaning no true, independent existence. Phenomena lack independent reality. The primary importance of dependent origination is that it reveals the finite nature of all phenomena and entities in the world. They lack true, independent existence. All depend on the interplay of countless conditions. Nagarjuna summarized dependent origination as follows. Since no element of existence manifests without conditions, no phenomenon is not empty, meaning it lacks true, independent existence. The law of dependent origination is viewed through different perspectives. First is karmic dependent origination. It explains how our actions create karma. Karma is not just actions, but also intentions. An act rooted in compassion yields different results than one driven by greed. Next is alaya, dependent origination, delving into the storehouse consciousness, the repository of all karmic seeds from the past. This consciousness is not a fixed self, but a dynamic flow, connecting lives and embodying non-self. Finally, there's tathata-dependent origination, pointing to the true nature of reality. Tathata, or suchness, is the pure state beyond conditions, where all phenomena return to their nirvanic essence. The law of dependent origination is not just a theory, it's a practical roadmap with the noble eightfold path, such as right view and right mindfulness, guiding us to recognize and break free from the chain of condition. Understanding the law of dependent origination is more than theory. It transforms how we live. When you realize everything is interdependent, you see that suffering is not fate, but the result of conditions that can be changed. Try meditating daily, observing your thoughts and emotions. They come and go, impermanent. This helps you stay calm amid afflictions, knowing they are not permanent. Zen master Huang Long once said, "Everything exists through conditions." If you look deeply into causes and conditions, you'll see the sacred in life. Meanwhile, Zen master Mogok Sayadaw taught that you should directly experience the chain of dependent origination within your own mind through meditation. These words remind us that the path to enlightenment is not distant. It lies in your observation today. The law of dependent origination is one of the Buddha's most profound teachings, showing us that everything in the universe is interconnected through causes and conditions. Understanding this, you can live more meaningfully, knowing that every action has consequences, and every suffering has a path to liberation through wisdom. As the Buddha said, everything changes. Strive to liberate yourself. Bring these insights into your life. Observe, meditate, and live with compassion. Thank you for joining this journey. Keep exploring and sharing.